Hold for Eve. Hold for star.
Hold for star.
Hold for star power.
We're currently holding for star power.
Hold for star power. Star power is getting situated with our giant water bottle.
Without her, we're just the sun and the moon. Okay. I wanted to say, to prove Eve's point, today I got a targeted ad for Huggies diapers. I don't have a baby. So obviously the ad was targeted toward me, which would prove that I'd be
wearing
flashing
diaper.
It just goes to show you, if you say the word diaper 1,000 times around your phone.
Your phone will hear it, and it will start suggesting that you buy Huggies.
Yeah.
That being said, I am past the weight limit for any of the Huggies that they sell.
Oh, because you checked. You were like, wait, will these fit me though?
Yeah, they do have a Huggies for up to 80 pounds. So
That's
me on
crazy.
a good day.
That's crazy.
Whoa.
Let me do a couple cleanses.
And then maybe she can
check
fit into
back
the 80-pound hug.
Yeah.
Two sisters talk about dumb shit. We hope you like it. Cause if not, then we'll kill ourselves and the blood will be on your hands. Young old.
dude, goal weight fit into the biggest Huggies.
You sign up for a new gym, and they're like, what are your fitness goals? And you're like, I'd love to finally be able to fit into my 80-pound Huggies.
But I will say this goes
That's
to
the fitness goal.
this does prove what I'm always saying, which is that, like, yes, I do fit in some children's clothing, but that is a testament to the childhood obesity epidemic in the United States.
It
like,
is.
like I,
You shouldn't be able to.
in a good world, in the
wouldn't,
right world,
yeah.
I would not
Be
be able to
In
fit
Europe,
child's
you can't fit
clothing.
into any baby's clothing.
Right.
You know,
'cause they don't
it's
have
funny
the
that you say
epidemic.
that, but no, I can't. Like,
Oh,
Japanese
okay.
child's clothing couldn't. I couldn't fit a foot in, you know?
Okay.
Wow.
All right.
And it's just so great that you're kind of the ambassador to Japan that America sends forth. You're trying on children's clothes. What do they think of us overseas?
I don't think they think of us at all. They only think of Tom Cruise. That's the only American they know.
That makes sense because Tom Cruise is short, so I kind of feel like he's easy to export
It's
around
like
the
how
world.
famously in Asia, if you're a white guy and you go to Asia, people will always think that you're Tom Cruise or Brad Pitt. Like, they literally think that.
Not me. When I go to Asia, they think I'm some sort of gross troll and they throw trash at me.
Right.
I'm like, oh, do you guys think I'm Tom Cruise or Brad Pitt? I'm the one white guy they're disgusted by.
They're like, ew, it's not Tom Cruise or Brad Pitt.
It's
Or maybe-
Galokthar, guardian of the gate.
It's Galokthar.
Maybe they're excited though. They're like American troll.
yeah, maybe.
Oh, it's the American troll. I think I'm really popular,
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
turns out that
They're saying the word troll.
I look like
Troll.
American troll. I turn on TV. It's like it's a cartoon about the ugliest troll who's ever lived.
Yeah.
Well, speaking
Anyway.
of YouTube ads, I've been trying really hard to block all of the like weight loss ads that I get, and it has not worked at all. Like they do not care. And I was looking at my like ad thingies, like what Google thinks what information they've gathered about me, and one of them is that they think I have a bachelor's degree, and I was like, period.
Oh my
Whoa.
God. They think you're an educated fatty.
Yeah, T.
They think you have a bachelor's degree and you're desperate to lose weight.
Yeah. How do you know they think you have a bachelor's degree?
It said that, and like it's like information, like because I went to my ad settings when I was trying to block the ads, but also it's like I very clearly put no medication ads, and they don't care. It's fake. Your settings are fake.
Just the nerve of Silicon Valley. The nerve.
Right.
Who are you to tell anyone else about what they should be doing with their body?
100%. I'm like, y'all are ugly.
Y'all are a bunch of nerds sitting in Silicon Valley.
Yeah. But it's like how the one guy who's always trying to extend his life or whatever, it's like, why doesn't he try to look hotter? You know what I'm talking about?
I do know who you're talking about. Well,
Like,
his name's
what?
dude. It's Brian
Right.
Johnson. It's
Brian
the
has a long
same-
life as an uggo.
The same
That's
name
who
as
they
the
think you
Liver King.
are in Asia. They're
Oh,
like,
Brian
That's Brian Johnson. It's also interesting because Brian Johnson also has had a fashion revolution. Everyone's talking about how he like replaces his blood with his son's blood, but he
Yeah.
also started kind of trying to dress like a hype beast, which again only makes you look older, actually.
Yeah, well, because it creates a juxtaposition and a contrast. It says when you dress young, it says, "Look at my old face."
So he
That's
should
so
be trying
real.
to dress super old and
Yeah.
like rags and
Yeah.
like decrepit robes.
I mean, I think there's something to that. It's like how I always thought this, but like when a really pretty girl dresses like tomboy core, you really are taken aback by how pretty she is. That's why I think the full glam tracksuit vibe is so popular, because it really does make you look prettier by contrast of like when you dress more masculine, you look more feminine.
Something to think about.
Something to think about out there.
Meanwhile, like if you are a girl who kind of has more masculine features and you wear like a pretty dress, you might
It draws
find
attention.
that it draws attention to the fact that you're a little masky.
You're a little masky.
Yeah, a little masky. And again, no value judgment there.
Just the tea.
Just observation. Yeah.
This feels like one of those movies like you would get on TikTok where it's like the muscular girl had to wear a dress to the ball. She showed up and everyone thought she was masky. They did not dance with her.
Yeah.
I've been getting so many of these because here's the problem. Like I watched a couple of them through and I'm like, oh.
Because also it's like I don't want to necessarily watch the movie or show, but like I do want the rundown.
Well, but that also proves to me that a lot of movies are literally better in theory. Like they're better in summary.
Right.
Like I'd rather
Like, the
listen.
concept is cool.
The concept is cool, but then like obviously I'm not gonna watch the movie.
Also, horror movies especially are great to consume in that format because I get the idea without actually having to be scared in my bed.
Yes, that's so real.
Right, because nothing is like breaks the wall and like makes you not scared like
Also,
that.
even if it is like a really scary demon like crawling out of a box to like drag like a little girl to hell, it instantly is rendered not scary by the voice going, "The demon in the box is dragging the little girl to hell."
Right.
That's reminds me
really
of
cuts
how
the tension.
whenever I do watch horror movies, I'm always going to the bathroom to look at the plot summary so that when I get back, I can steel myself for what's to come next.
I never understood that. I'm like, okay.
One time,
What do you mean? You're like, okay. What does that mean?
extrapolate.
Yeah.
This was an audio podcast.
I guess I just think you're silly for being afraid.
But it's scary. Like, what do
But
you
I'm like,
mean?
get over it.
But to
What do you
me,
mean, get
to
over
me,
it?
the fact that you think it's silly
It's
to be
like
afraid
how-
when you're supposed to be afraid.
It's like how when I was watching 28 Years Later in the theater and I was scared, and then I reminded myself the zombie, he is an actor. He's
Right.
signed with an agent. He's doing self-tapes.
Well, that's even scarier. I'm like, oh God, he's doing self-tapes.
the real
I used to
nightmare.
remind yourself the zombies doing self-tapes, and then it's okay.
Dude, isn't it crazy that there's a huge possibility that that person was auditioning for like 20 years, never booked anything. First thing they book, ugly zombie.
Well, I always used to
Period.
think that. I thought that about like old actors, where I noticed one specific really old actor was cast in 2 movies back to back where they played an old man who died of old age. And I'm like, that has to be such like an existential, like crazy conundrum for you as an actor where you start getting parts and they all wither away and die. It's just like, geez.
But I mean, there's something kind of beautiful about that where it's like, I was right to stay in the game. Like, I was right to stay in the game. Who else was going to play old man who withers and dies?
Well, yeah. Well,
Like,
it's
everyone else quit, and now I'm the only old man left to wither.
That's so
Yeah.
real.
Well, it reminds me of I just saw a clip about someone talking about why they don't give up is because of Pedro Pascal's career journey, which also when people say that, I'm like, that you can't like be like, you're the reason why I continue to be a loser every day. But like Pedro Pascal famously gave himself a timeline of he was like, if I haven't made a splash in the acting world by the time I'm 29, I'm quitting. But then obviously he didn't achieve any notoriety till his 40s.
Yeah.
And so clearly that he kept going, but he was saying like that timeline made it harder on himself because he like always was having to like rationalize, wait, but I said, and he's like, no, it's okay, I'm gonna keep going, keep going. But like anyway, to that point, like,
Well, it is fun because I know Pedro Pascal, he played like a vampire on Buffy. I
Yeah.
love that when you watch old shows. Like
Wait,
we recently
he did?
Yeah, he played a vampire on Buffy. Not a
did
main
not
vampire.
know that.
He played like
a
a
really,
nothing.
like, just
I don't
a
even know if he
side
had
vampire.
lines.
Yeah.
Well, it's the way we're watching Smallville, and in season 1, there's a girl at Clark's high school who a meteor rock turns into someone who
gets-
wants to consume fat, and she gets a crazy appetite.
Yeah.
And who is it played by? Amy Adams.
Amy
Yeah.
Adams.
Who also played the purse salesman in The Office. I'm like, wow, she really climbs her way up the ladder.
Or like I
Climbed.
remember seeing Jessica Chastain in some random episode of Veronica Mars as like a side character, and I was like, is that Jessica Chastain? Like you really, until someone blows up, they don't even register to you. It's so fascinating.
Well,
and
it's
then
like
suddenly
I've-
it's like, oh, how could I have missed her? But it's like, but why would she have made an impact?
Well, it's like I've appeared in 400 movies and TV shows, and I bet you guys couldn't even name a single one of them. I bet you guys might even think I'm lying about that. But no, the truth is you
he's
just won't,
always there.
you just won't notice until I'm rich and
And
famous.
then you'll constantly be like, wait,
Whoa,
is that Robert Schultz?
Is that Robert Schultz?
And
He was
that-
there all along?
in that obese children's diaper ad?
Yeah, it was me.
It was
That's the real reason also Eve wants to get all the weight loss ads banned because they all star me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm sick of this. I'm sick of this guy. The real reason I don't like them is because they always show the needle going into the stomach. And I'm like, that's disgusting. I can't watch this.
I'll sometimes get
You just need to remember that it's just an ad, Eve, and that needle isn't even real, and that skin is fake.
No, but okay. Okay, look, got me. Got my ass.
Well, I watched
But it's
one.
so just like, and also, they're not even trying to be scary. They're not
Yeah.
even trying to be scary, but it's just
It's
so
it's the
gross.
ick.
Yeah,
It's
it's
Also,
not
it's like-
scary to see a zombie. It is scary where the human characters look at the zombie and go, "That zombie's so skinny. I want to be skinny like that zombie.
I mean, I remember when I was fat, I would literally be jealous of anyone skinny, regardless of how ugly /
the
not human they
zombies.
were. I mean, I talked about this with the
Oh,
Navi.
but even the Navi are hot though. But like a nasty skinny zombie,
I would still be jealous.
You'd be like,
I mean,
body
I was always
tea?
jealous of like meth addicts in TV shows.
Oh,
where I was
'cause
like,
body
they're
tea.
so skinny. But I wasn't.
Their
I was,
body is tea.
Their body
Body
is
tea.
tea.
I look at an addict withering away on the screen in front of me, and I go, "Oh, their body's so
Body
tea."
tea.
Body tea.
I bet they
Body
don't get
tea.
full sweetness at Phil's.
body tea though.
Body tea. Oh, but I was gonna say, isn't it crazy that to the average American, a needle in their skin is less scary than just having to eat a little less?
Like going to the gym.
I'm like, how is that less scary to you?
Also, I'm like, if I was designing the ads, I would be doing some like, I don't know, before and after photos.
Right.
Not like the needle. Like, I just like, who thought this was a good idea for the ad?
Did you come up with it, Robert? You're awfully quiet.
Huh?
Seems like you came up with
Seems
the
like
concept.
Yeah. I just need to send 40 frantic emails real quick to my team.
Well, speaking of ads, should we and ads that Robert or limiting ads that Robert disapproves of, the Shein and Temu.
Oh,
legislation.
okay, yes. Let's talk about. So on Young Old, you guys know we like to stay in touch with current events. We like to be up on.
And by
We
current
don't
events,
in real life,
Yeah.
but the second we're on Young,
Young Old, we're all
of a
about what's
sudden it's
happening.
current events.
And by current events, we mean CW shows from 2005.
So France just passed a piece of legislation that has made it illegal to advertise Shein and Temu on your social media platforms.
Is it passed for real?
Yeah, it
or
got
is it
passed.
Okay.
And obviously they cite environmental reasons for why they don't think Shein and Temu should be allowed to advertise in their country.
Classic France. They disapprove of fast fashion, but like meanwhile, every politician has a 12-year-old girlfriend. It's like that's classic French. The French value system in
they
place.
Say, no child slaves. That's my girlfriend.
Yeah.
They say
So
that child
real,
slave is my
that's my
fucking
GF.
girlfriend.
Well, they're really just mad that the children working in the factories aren't given enough cigarette breaks.
Right.
That's so real.
So
That's
true.
so real.
But yeah, anyway, Robert's really anti that legislation because he thinks Temu for all.
Well, I was saying he has stock, and he's like,
I secretly have
it's
Temu
not.
stock. Well, to
It's
say
not gonna
I'm,
be good for
I'm
me.
really anti. I just said as soon as I heard about it, I
You said
shrugged
no.
and said, "Well, because then who are you to say what fashion constitutes is worthy of your standard?" I'm like, that just seems like it's not that important. Do you know what I
agree.
mean?
I think it's also a slippery slope to like legislate foreign working conditions in your own country, and then what is up to snuff then?
Well, then
because people have also done so many exposés on how H&M and Zara and all of these other companies, they don't have significantly better labor practices than Shein or Temu. So why
Well,
are they allowed?
It seems like you're almost like trying to protect the major corporations and like the big fashion brands against the rise of like this cheap fashion, as opposed to actually trying to promote sustainable practices.
and
Because
I
like,
think there's definitely something.
I don't
to
think
that.
you'd have a problem with some. I literally can't even think of what a normal big fashion brand of clothing is. Is there what is one?
like H&M.
H&M, yeah. They wouldn't have a problem with H&M like selling the exact same quality of clothes made the exact same way.
Yeah.
They just have a problem with like Temu and
Plus,
Shein.
aren't those like, are they European companies, those other ones, or no? Are they American?
I don't know.
I think they're
don't
probably
know where
like based
they're-
in international
I think, yeah.
waters, so they can like make 8-year-olds build
Right,
them or
but
whatever.
I mean, a lot of them have their manufacturing done overseas, obviously, because it's cheaper.
right.
But I think a lot of like H&M and Zara, I think, are headquartered in Europe, I believe.
Right. So
And
maybe it's like they're just
so
trying to get China
Yeah.
out of the biz.
That's really real.
Yeah.
So
And
maybe
to be
it's
clear,
just
I think Temu and Shein
xenophobic.
are shitty or whatever, but I just think
Right.
like shitty companies have a right to advertise too.
Yeah, and I agree in that. I think a lot of them are using similarly bad labor practices to manufacture their clothing. And where does the buck stop, really? What do you think?
I don't know. I
So
don't
you just
really
brought it
care
up,
either way.
so-
Well, no, just because you wanted to bring it up.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it then, in that case.
It's always no one wants me to say my thing.
Until you get a chance to say your thing, and then
Well,
it's
I
like,
said
why don't you
my
guys say your thing?
I said my thing, and then everyone acted bored.
Just because I know you're dying to say your thing.
Well, thank you.
Well, I just imagine like a French politician is like, I am sick of these fast fashionable companies. They are. Oh, my baby is crying. Real quick, it needs its wine break. Ugh. And then it pours red wine and Merlot into a baby bottle and feeds its baby. Oh yes, Timu is so bad. I like how I said the French politician is an it.
Yeah.
Didn't even mean that, but wow, it's my inner patriotism is coming out.
Yeah, no one who's American gets a pronoun,
Speaking of ads that are
Well,
crazy,
it is a pronoun, right?
a gendered pronoun. Sorry. What?
speaking of ads that are crazy, is I keep getting ads of families in cars driving into water and the car's sinking, and it's for those TikTok shop products where it's like,
To break the window.
yeah, it's like a thing that breaks the window. So I watched one video all the way through because it's fascinating. It's a guy who's in a sinking car on purpose just so he can like break the window.
Dude.
And then I of course watched that all the way through because that's crazy.
Did they
And-
do the? Did they really do it in the ad? do you
Yeah, he
think?
did it in the ad. It's like the
Dude.
car. He also was really milking it. He would just like he kept being like the water would be like up to his chest.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, so like if the water's up to your chest, just remain calm. It's fine. And the water kept rising, and I'm like, what if he just dies? He just never
Filming
uses
the ad.
Yeah, but he does. It's like a little ring thing, and it shatters the window of your car so you can swim out.
When I'm in the right kind of mood, I almost always like add those to cart, go to check out, and then I realize that TikTok doesn't have my payment information saved, and then I don't get it. But they get me sometimes.
That's
and I
probably for
really
the
am
best.
Like, no, it is for the best.
Yeah, I've never bought anything off TikTok Shop, but I am just getting so many ads for like I've seen versions where like it's an entire family in a car and the car is sinking.
How
and
do they get
use
the
thing.
actors to agree to be in those ads?
Dude, I have no idea. But it's like people will be in anything. A lot
That's
of actors are
true.
desperate out there.
That's really
also
true.
for a child actor, you don't even need to get the actor. You just need to get their mom or dad.
Isn't
And
it
then it's
crazy?
like, okay, sweetie, you'll be drowning in the car today.
Yeah.
It's so crazy because I'm like, if you want to get anyone to do anything, just tell them it's for a movie.
Yeah, it's
But
for a
it's so
picture.
real.
Like, I'm trying to think of something that'd be funny to do that for. I'm blinking.
But I feel like they're raising the stakes for you to get it because like first they'll show you just a man by himself.
Yeah.
And you're like, you still don't buy it. And
Yeah.
then they're like, okay, a man and his wife. You still don't buy it. You're like, okay, a man and his family.
And then they go,
They're
a
like,
man
buy
and
it already.
and they go, a man in your family? And I'm like, how do I get my family in this ad? And I'm like, buy it.
And then they just have one with just a puppy. And that one
Oh,
sells
and then
the
that one
best,
sells the
obviously.
most. That one sells the most.
Because people are more concerned with puppies
Than they are
than they are human
beings.
beings.
So real.
It's true. Oh, I also want to talk about the fickleness of the For You page. And I always talk to Robert about this. But it's like I'll see a like cool blonde influencer for like months, years on end. I'll see her all the time, every day. And then all of a sudden, she'll just drop off the face of my For You page. I don't even think about it because when someone disappears,
Right,
you
you
just
don't
don't think about
remember.
it. Then I will see her a year later, say, and I'm like, oh, where was she? I go to her profile and I see that the reason that she had disappeared from my For You page was because she went brunette. And in her year of being brunette, and this has happened with multiple influencers I've observed, in her year of being brunette, her views were slashed like literally like by 90%. Like literally she'll go a full year being brunette and you know the For You page will fucking not show her anymore.
If you blow up blonde, that's
you
your
have
curse.
to stay blonde. Like I don't even know what to say, but it was so funny because I was like, why am I seeing this girl again after not seeing her? Because she went blonde again. Like it literally is that easy. Like it's so crazy that someone could go brunette and they disappear from the face of my reality.
Also, once people
And other people's
recognize you
reality.
like for a certain look.
Well, we were saying like
They don't
TikTok is
know
so fickle where it's like
anymore.
it could be a lighting change. It could be an audio
Yeah.
change. A lot of times TikTokers will blow up in their like tiny little bedrooms and then they'll move to a bigger house and it's kind of echoey in there. And suddenly
Yeah.
their videos just start performing like less good
Well, a lot of
over
TikTokers
time.
blow up and they think it's because they have great takes or they're really funny or their get readies with me's or like really good. And really it's like, no, you just happen to have great light in your apartment.
You have great light in
and
your
then you
apartment.
move
In that apartment.
And then you move apartments and suddenly like the window's in a different place, your camera's in a different place, and boom, the magic's gone.
Like it's a scary and very fickle art. You start to realize you're like, oh, like TikTok it's a blow of the wind.
TikTok is a blow of the wind.
TikTok is blow of the wind, and it's a
and
hair
when
color
I'm
and
I'm
haircut.
scrolling, I'm like, wow, the wind's really blowing today.
Or like how some girls won't blow up till they get a bob, or some girls will stop blowing up once they get a bob.
Yeah.
It's like you'd never know what it is.
I also think people just like know you with a certain look, and then that's just how they want to see you. Like, and then if you change that look, then they just don't.
That being said, I
feel like they
feel
don't know you anymore.
I feel like brunettes can go blonde,
Yes,
but I feel like blondes
not the other
can't
way
go
around.
brunette.
yeah, I think if you blow up blonde, it's very difficult to keep popping off if you go brunette. And that's it's unfortunate.
People always tell Tana Mojo to go brunette.
Sabotage.
And she's
Saboteurs.
always like, it's sabotage. And I'm like, that's tea. Because also it's like, even if you think, you know, in her day-to-day life, she would look better, it doesn't matter because that's not like, as a celebrity, she has to be blonde.
Well, it's like her blonde hair is Brent Rivera's secret rooms.
That's so
He
real.
needs
That's
them.
so
They're-
real.
It's a core tenet of what makes their content work.
Yeah. It's their brand.
Right.
Like
And
their hair
they're
is
like,
their brand.
oh, she would look so much classier. And it's like, her brand is not classy.
Yeah.
No. She's not an old money. She's literally,
Yeah.
her whole thing is, she blew up as a 13-year-old from Las Vegas.
Right.
Yeah.
With bleach blonde hair.
Yeah, she's not trying to get into the country club.
Right. They're always like, oh, and her roots are always so grown out. It's like, that's how you know, like, that's
the
her.
vibe.
That's
That's
her.
part of
Also,
the
she
vibe.
wants
the
you to know the
brand.
blonde is fake. I
Yeah.
think people, that is a misconception I see a lot where people are like, we can tell you're not really blonde. No one is really blonde.
Right.
Like, no adults are really blonde except for like in Scandinavia or whatever. Like in the US,
Yeah.
it's very rare that anyone is actually blonde.
Tana Mojo is not Scandinavian coded. We know she's from America, and yeah, the root show. Also,
I always thought that was one of the best kept secrets was like around age 11 to 13, girls with dirty blonde hair start getting highlights. And you would never know that unless you're a dirty blonde girl. It's like, you wouldn't know that. And they just suddenly start being like, they stay blonde and you're like, oh, I guess they must naturally be blonde. No, their moms very meticulously start getting them highlights at a certain age.
well, okay.
And you would never know.
This is, I don't want to sound, classist, but there's some people some girls that I know in LA who will complain about being broke a lot. Like they'll post on their story, they're complaining about being broke, and I'll look at them and I'm like, you are spending hundreds of dollars a month keeping yourself blonde.
Thousands,
so
maybe.
real.
And look,
That's
you're
so
allowed
real.
to do that. It's
Yeah.
your money. I mean, prioritize where you got to prioritize.
Yeah.
But they're just like, they're like, man, I can't even afford to go out to eat. And I'm like, on your head, you have 50 lunches right now.
Yes, there's 50 lunches.
There's
on your
50
head.
lunches on your head, and that's a choice.
Yeah.
That's okay.
And we've seen that it can be a financially advantageous decision to invest in your blonde hair.
Especially if you're doing entertainment,
Especially if you're doing
something.
entertainment, and especially like knowing what I know about the For You page, like going blonde could be the difference between being viral and not being viral.
Yeah.
But it is a decision. I mean, there was a joke in Adults on FX about that the girl was being priced out of blonde.
She's being priced out of blonde. Finger on the pulse.
Yeah,
FX. Always finger on the pulse.
Finger on the pulse. Very topical.
I will
very
say when
timely.
I bleached my hair, by which I mean when I had Dana bleach my hair.
Salon de Dana.
Salon de Dana.
Friday, before it got shut down by
Before-
authorities.
Yeah, before I got shut down by authorities, which was me being like, what am I doing? I will say when I had my hair bleached, every other guy I saw with his hair bleached, I thought, that loser must be going through some sort of crisis. Meanwhile, I'd come home and be like, Dana,
I need more bleach in my
I need a
hair.
new coat now.
I was telling our mom about how your barber, I'm not gonna say hairdresser because I know you don't like that.
Yeah, because I'm a boy.
Your barber was like talking about your bleach, and he was like, "The scalp never recovers."
Yeah.
Because I just love that line. Like,
The scalp never
damn,
recovers.
Okay,
Well,
the
he
scalp
he
never
lulled me into a
recovers.
false sense of
Fuck.
security because he said, "Do you miss your bleached hair?" And I said, "No, no. I'm really glad I went back to my natural hair. I mean, I feel like my hair was just kind of starting to recover." And he goes, "The scalp never recovers."
I'm just like, that is crazy.
Also, the scalp does recover.
And that's
that's
not
not freaking
true.
true.
It's
Your
not
scalp
true.
will recover. I mean, that's another big myth and lie that I was told as a child that I know now as an adult through raw experimentation and trial and error is untrue. Is that if you dye your hair, it will never be the same. Wrong. You get
Yeah.
new hair all the time.
Right, 'cause how
Shut
would it
up.
change, like, your
Shut
body
up.
like-
they just say that so you don't do it.
But,
They
like,
say that because you don't
why?
want to maximize, because they don't want you to have fun with your looks. Like, that's also what you realize is like when you're a child, no one wants you to be able to customize your own doll. And it's like, I had great ideas for my doll that I was never allowed to execute.
so real.
Can I just intervene real quick?
Yeah.
By doll, you mean yourself, your body and your form. Okay, just want
She's
to.
her own doll. She's
just wanna
customizing
confirm.
her character.
I'm customizing my character, and no one wanted me to customize my character. And you know what? Ultimately, I realized my default settings are best for me. Like, my default settings, I love my default settings.
Famously, when
But-
Dana was blonde, I was like, "Hey, when are you gonna go back to like the Dana classic look?" Referring to her dark hair, and Dana got so mad at me. She was like, "There is no Dana classic. The classic look is whatever look I have now. I'll never have dark hair again."
And ultimately here,
As you can
here
see,
I am with dark hair.
she has
But I
dark
will
hair.
say, going back relating to my For You page theory, I tried to go blonde, or I tried to go viral being blonde as Lil Looks.
I forget about all of your different eras.
Perhaps it was like a result of the content
Now,
that was
Lil
being made.
Looks was pre Dr. P, post Amy Halls.
Pre Dr. P, post Amy Halls, yes.
Okay.
I love the timeline.
And I just had a short bleach blonde pixie cut, and I did not blow up with my short bleach blonde pixie cut. And I think a big part of that is because like I am someone who I'm not going to be viral blonde. Like
Yeah.
me blonde is not viral.
Also, the content was super weird.
Also
What? What? What?
said that. Well, Robert, you filmed a lot of the content. So you were.
That's how I know. I had a front row seat. Yeah, that's how I know.
Bruh.
All this to say, I almost called them PP heads. They're not PP heads. They're young
It
alternators.
is so important to remember that.
All this to say, young alternators, if you're not blowing up on TikTok, try a hair change, try a lighting change, try, I don't know, try a content change.
Period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Change it up.
Jojo Siwa said her mom was bleaching her hair at like 3 years old.
That's so funny. Jojo Siwa is with a man now,
Yeah.
and she's
Yeah.
pregnant.
She's not pregnant.
She's not
She's not
pregnant.
pregnant?
You
Oh, is that
got
a
got
rumor?
by
What the
something.
fuck?
Come on, man.
Sorry.
Okay, also she does a fake pregnancy thing on her Snapchat like every month. Cause
That's
money.
smart.
Dude, that's actually very young
Yeah.
old. That's very young old because your kind of boomer moment is that you fall for kind of those like internet
Yeah.
fake news.
Yeah.
It's like JoJo pretends she's pregnant and Tana always gets mad because she's like, if I pretended I was pregnant, people would be so mad at me.
Yeah.
Well, but I think they also wouldn't believe her.
That being said, people also are. It seems like get mad at a lot
Yeah,
of
they
things.
do
JoJo
get mad at
Siwa
JoJo
does
too.
too.
Also, Tana posted a picture, and everyone commented that she looked pregnant in it.
Oh.
Did you see that?
No, it's rude.
No, it was rude. Well, people also it directly corresponded with her being like, "Oh, I'm not like face tuning as much, like da 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 da," and then she posted like one picture not face tuned, and everyone's like, "She's pregnant."
People were doing that to Eugenia Cooney, who is famously her whole online brand
The
is
skinniest
being
woman in the world.
extremely unhealthily skinny, and she even got removed from her TikTok content got like age restricted. I don't know how. I don't know.
Imagine
Something
your
happened.
body's so T, you get removed from social media.
Yeah.
Yours is
No,
like,
she's not to you. It's not
It's
to
also
you.
it is funny for like platforms to like remove individual influencers for promoting like skinny content or whatever. They're like, oh man, that wouldn't be good for like the brands and the sponsors we have. Meanwhile, all the brands and sponsors are like for weight loss ads.
Yeah, they're like,
It's
here's a needle in a stomach.
Yeah, it does feel kind of
That's so
hypocritical.
real.
Yeah. No,
not,
it is.
Not to come for big corporations and
Okay,
big tech
here's
like
what
that.
I'll say though. Okay, that's actually interesting that you say that because there's one skinny influencer. Her name is Liv Schmidt, and she's constantly getting removed from TikTok. And when you actually listen to her advice and her content, it's not actually pro Anna at all. Her whole thing is basically like, yeah, stop thinking about food, you freaking fatty. Like, stop centering all your whole life around
Yeah,
food.
I will
Which
say
is good
the-
advice.
The frickin' fatty,
What?
you know.
Well, she doesn't say you freaking fatty. That was
Okay.
my ad lib. All
Wow.
right.
she added.
That was my
Put your own
ad-lib.
spin on it
That was
there,
my
didn't you?
spin. But like her whole thing is basically just like, yes, stop centering your entire life around food, which is good advice. Like, stop centering your life around food. But she always is getting deplatformed. And I'm like, I wonder if it's because they don't like it when you give diet advice that is free and doesn't perpetuate the $1 billion diet industry.
Yeah, well, it's like, well,
Like,
it's
it's not a medication.
Like, it's not a
Yeah.
medication.
Yeah.
It's just an advice, which is like, yeah, eat less.
Well, all these corporations are pushing like weight loss products
Mm-hmm.
or exercise products or drugs to make you skinny. But then when one influencer says you should be skinnier, they clutch their pearls.
Yeah, they clutch
And
their
it's like,
pearls.
It's because they're saying the quiet part out loud. They're
Yeah.
exposing your grift.
Right, they're exposing
Yeah.
your grip. They're saying eat less. If you want to be skinnier, eat less. That is the only real advice, but it's also the only advice that doesn't try to sell you a product.
Well, that's why I'm often really worried that I'm going to be deplatformed for being too skinny. And then luckily, really luckily, according to all the feedback I've gotten, I'm actually a fat, ugly pig.
Right.
Thank God.
So you're safe for now.
That's why my platform is so secure because it's
Yeah.
got to hold me up.
Well, that's why I commit to staying mid-sized because I don't want to get deplatformed.
You're not
Right,
mid-sized.
right,
You're very
right.
small.
But they love.
I'm mid-sized for a small person.
Well, this is how.
But also, they
Yeah.
love like calling people mid-size is always controversial.
Yeah.
Well,
Because-
they love to call anyone who's not super skinny
Mid-size,
Like,
yeah.
and they love to
Like
say
Tate McRae is constantly
Yeah.
being called mid-size.
Well,
That's insanity.
And
No,
so
it's
is
true.
Addison Rae.
Right, but then it always blows up because people are always like, they're not mid-sized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're skinny.
But what I've learned is that being not mid-size and calling yourself mid-size is a good way to engagement farm
Because
and
people will
date.
say you're not mid-sized.
And
Yeah.
I'll do it every time.
Right. Me saying I'm mid-sized, no one
Well, that's
comments.
famously how
I'm
Sienna
like,
May
bro.
blew up. Like
Oh,
early.
mid-size
was
yeah.
she would just she
Yeah,
would
people would be like, no, you're
stick
skinny.
out her stomach
Right.
and hold it.
Yeah.
Which is iconic.
T.
Yeah.
But yeah, people love to tell Eugenia Cooney that she looks pregnant because
It's pretty funny. It's a good bit.
I love influencers who are like, look at me, look how brave I am. Sticks out stomach a millisecond.
Yeah.
And everyone in the comments is like, you're the bravest person I've ever known.
Yeah.
And maybe it is.
Skinny girls showing off their bloat, that gets the internet in such a tizzy.
bravest,
Yeah, it breaks
bravest
me.
women
Yeah,
they
but-
know.
I have an eyelash.
We're making a wish, young alternators who are not on video.
Have I discussed your obsession with wishing?
Go ahead.
Dana's obsessed with I wouldn't be surprised if I saw her ripping out her own eyelashes to make wishes. Like
I don't because I got over my trichotillomania in 6th grade, despite no one
Classic
rooting for me.
Dana
I
response.
replaced it with an eating
Classic
disorder.
Dana
Eve said
response.
something that's kind of like normal and joking.
you brought
Dana,
up 6th grade trauma.
Dana brings up 6th grade trauma.
Well, I had really bad trichotillomania where I would rip my hair out of my head, probably because I was stressed at home. And I did replace it with good old fashioned schmanorexia.
What?
And
Okay.
then my hair started falling out on its own. And I was like, I can't afford to be ripping it out.
Period.
It's already falling out. Anyway,
Period.
we're saying
On
about-
God.
Now let's talk about the
Me when I
wishes.
hear the most tragic, unhinged shit I've ever heard. On God.
I'm over it.
Period.
Look at all my hair. Look at my tubby body. We're over it.
Period.
Now go ahead.
Oh yeah, but whenever it's 11:11, like when people are like, "Oh, make a wish," Dana's like, and you'd think, okay, you get one wish, right? Like a normal person would make a single wish on 11:11. Dana will sit there for the full minute, making as many wishes as she possibly can, and she's like constantly checking the clock to make sure it's still 11:11.
I'm an
And she's,
opportunist.
locked in. Like if you try to talk to her during the 60 seconds of 11:11, like she does not hear you.
Well, she's like Snape during the first Quidditch match in Harry Potter, where she's just like staring straight ahead, muttering
Yeah.
incantations that only
Yeah.
she can hear.
yeah.
I'm an opportunist. If I see an opportunity, I will take it.
That being said,
I
Eve
will
is
lock
always
in.
trying to do then reverse incantation. She's always like, I'm gonna wish for your wish to not come true. Which is like,
and then
way to
my
kill
wish
the whimsy.
always my 11:11 wish is always that I don't want her wishes to
But
come
because
true.
Eve states that out loud, it undoes it.
And like, but what a horrible.
But then I said I'm gonna say out loud, I wish your wishes will come true, and then that reverse does it.
No, because
so that
that's
they
not your
don't.
real wish. It has to be a wish you mean in your heart.
Yeah,
and
I
you
do
clearly
mean that.
No, you don't wish for the wish to come true
Oh,
in your heart. You
okay.
wish for it not to come
But
true.
But lately I've just been keeping it to myself. That I don't want it to come true.
Well, but now you've just said
Yeah,
it,
but the
so it
universe
undoes
still
it.
doesn't
but, like,
respond
but,
to
like, not-
negativity. Positivity always beats out negativity. I just heard Gary Vee say that.
Okay, whatever.
Gary Vaynerchuk
Gary Vaynerchuk
from VaynerMedia.
from VaynerMedia.
Okay, sorry.
Dude.
It's okay.
I
forgive
just
you.
also the other thing I was saying is that the wish god hates to see Dana coming because they're like when they have Dana on their shift, they're like, "Fuck! Now I gotta do fucking 60 wishes when the normal person only has one."
Everyone else at 11:11 is like, I wish for there to not be traffic on my drive home. And when Dana hits, she's like, so in 6th grade, my trichotillomania, and I wish for that. Part 2. Part 3.
And like the wish god is still at his desk, and everyone else has left the office, and they're like, "Hey, you still working?" He's like, "I got Dana tonight."
And you know what? So what?
You're putting them to work, putting those wish gods to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're hourly employees. So
And you know
they
what?
don't carry
Embrace
their
the
way.
whimsy. Embrace the
Yeah.
whimsy. Why not?
Well, magic is everywhere if you believe to see it.
Eve refuses to see the magic, but then actually Eve embraces the magic from the other side. To undo other people's positive magic, she embraces negative magic.
Also, it's like, who hurt you? Also, Eve does believe in magic, famously.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
Eve
love
has
magic.
delved into the witches' arts.
Well, Eve
the
summoned a
coven
fairy.
arts.
Have you told your fairy story?
I don't know.
Do you want to tell your fairy story?
Basically, my friend and I, like, we would always make little fairy houses outside in the yard. And then this one day, there was this, like, teeny little plastic fairy that was in the house. And, like, you would think, like, oh, your mom put it there or something. But my mom is just, like, she's just not that kind of I don't know. We just don't think that anyone put it. I mean, maybe somebody put it there. But
Maybe.
But we feel like
just
they
seems-
But we
summon
feel like
fairies.
they summoned a fairy.
it seemed very magical that there was a tiny little plastic fairy that ended up in the house.
like that seems crazy to me.
that no one else really knew about
Yeah,
it, which is even
yeah.
her friend in the fairy house, and suddenly there was a fairy figurine that apparated into the house. What could that be but
What
magic?
could it be but magic?
And now, of course, Eve has become disconnected from the magic of her youth, but that would make Eve a prime candidate to be transported to the magical realm and kind of reconnect with kind of the version of her that called to the fairies
Yeah.
in the first place.
Exactly.
But even so, like, okay, that fairy book that we have, when I was reading it as a kid, it would be like, oh, bring a little bit of salt and like a piece of iron to protect yourself just in case, but don't bring too much. And I remember being like, I'm going to bring a fuck ton of salt and a fuck ton of iron. And those bitches will never see me coming.
So were you trying to destroy the fairy?
Well, I don't
community?
it's just there's a lot of scary fairies in those books. Okay,
Yeah.
like you got to be safe.
In
You
an
know what?
effort to promote personal safety, Eve is going to wipe out the fairy realm.
There's a lot of scary ones.
It's all self-defense till you're building a weapon, quote Lord, and girl so confusing.
So real.
It's all self-defense, and then you bring a bunch of salt and you bring some iron to the fairy realm.
Fairies take it as an attack, and they freaking curse you forever and
So
ever.
me and my
they
friend, we
take your
used to play
name.
fairies with the fairy house till one day a fairy figurine appeared. I don't think it was from my mom.
Well, one of the most scary fairies is the red caps, and that is
Yeah.
like where they're fairies, and the way they stay alive is they have these caps that they dip in blood. Like
That's why the caps are red.
and that's why their
Thus
caps are
red
red,
cap.
and thus they're red caps. But in order to fit in when you're in their zone, is like you also have to wear a red cap. And Dana's like looking at her little red beret, and she's like, "I can wear this."
And you know what? I could.
And she could. And I think the other red caps would be like,
Yeah,
looks,
well,
some
also-
looks a little off.
all of my
but-
red caps are actually like hot pink. And
Right.
so I hope that the red cap fairies are tiny.
Maybe
bit
they would think that your cap was just
colorblind.
running dry.
Yeah.
Maybe they were like,
Maybe,
oh, she
and
needs
they'd
to
be like,
redip.
let's free up her on blood.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, no, I don't want the blood to stain my, I don't want the blood to mix with the blood I already got.
Right, exactly. I'm like, I can't be mixing bloods out here.
And of course, I didn't deal with this fairy shit when I was a kid because I was into like sports and kind of just like being
Yeah,
cool
for
and
sure,
being a
for
jock
sure.
and kind of like running the school, you know.
For
what I
sure,
mean?
for sure,
From
for
the
sure.
top of the pyramid,
Yeah,
you know what
of
I
course,
mean?
of course.
From the top of the pyramid.
From like lying about like your grandpa being mugged, like that kind of
Yeah. From you know what I mean? Like kind of lying about my grandpa being mugged, kind of hiding in my own car in the McDonald's parking lot. That's kind of what I was
Kind of
up
like
to.
cool shit.
Yeah,
So-
kinda
No,
cool
none
shit.
of that fairy nerd stuff.
No,
Yeah.
furry
None of
nerd
the
stuff.
None of the trichotillomania stuff.
Yeah,
The only game I would play is I would have like these little miniature cowboys, and then I would go out to my backyard and I would dig a hole in the mud and I would pretend it was like a canyon, and then I would put the cowboys in the hole, and then I would turn the hose on and I would pretend it was like a massive flood, like wiping out the cowboys.
That's pretty
Oh,
mean.
it's
It's kind of
dark.
evil.
It's dark.
You're an adversary to cowboys?
Well, it was very man versus nature. You know what I mean? It's like I wasn't at that time. I wasn't really interested in kind of man versus man. You know what I mean? It was very much like how can I create like a man versus nature scenario?
It seems like it was
Great
man
Flood.
versus nature, but you're a man controlling nature in order to harm other
Well,
men.
I'm God.
Right.
So the
right.
cowboys are just trying to settle this untamed land. I am God. The hose is my way to communicate to man that they can never conquer my creation.
You know what's so interesting to me
Right.
is like I was never interested in the role of God in these kind of games. Like that's why I never really took to Sims, I think. But the girls, there's this one girl I knew and she was really into Sims and I couldn't really figure out why she was so into Sims. And then one night I had a sleepover at her house and she revealed basically that she had Sims with the names and likenesses of everyone at our school, basically. And she would just make them do really fucked up shit to each other.
Oh.
And so she was like literally playing Sims like I'm the god of our school. And she was doing all kinds of weird stuff.
Someone at school borrows her pen and doesn't give it back, and she just rushes home and immediately puts them in a
Like,
pool and then removes the ladder.
That's
so
what she
their
was
sim
doing.
is
She
stuck
was
in
like
the pool.
drowning people. She would like make people that would never hook up. She was doing crazy shit with her Sims. And yeah. Anyway, I hope she's doing well. I wonder if she's still doing that.
What
With
if you
people
saw
at her
your
office.
Sims?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, yeah. She's like big in the corporate world. I think she's a
Wow.
consultant.
Well, maybe this is how she does it. This is like kind of how she plays her like kind of power fantasies out.
Maybe.
It's like she walks into the boardroom and she, instead of picturing everybody naked, she pictures all of their sins stuck in a room with no door.
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
Maybe
this is,
iconic.
This is a Black Mirror thing, but it's like he clones them, like the people in his office,
oh,
and then like
and does what with them?
and it's like
Whatever he wants?
it's like a VR game, but they're like real. Like I don't know, like it's their consciousness.
Oh, that's so scary.
but it's like a club, but like the real people don't know about it.
Nuts.
It's like have you seen? It's like the space
I haven't
one.
seen
Oh, the space one. You've seen the
Yeah.
imagery of that with Jesse Plemons, and it's like Star Trek styled.
Oh,
We didn't watch that episode.
Yeah.
I don't remember it. I don't remember watching that.
I'm kind of over TV that's just like, isn't this fucked up? It's like, well, yeah.
Yeah.
I did
That
watch a
is
bunch
what
of
it
Black
is.
Mirror,
It is
though.
like it's wow.
Well, in the first episode of Black Mirror, isn't that when the prime minister fucks a pig on national television?
Yes.
That's why it's funny to me whenever people are like, you know, their iPhone doesn't hold a charge and they're like, oh, this is Black Mirror. It's like, no, on Black Mirror, they're fucking pigs.
pigs.
No, it's not
Wow,
Black
life
Mirror.
is literally Black Mirror.
It's
no.
not Black Mirror that your phone camera sometimes turns on when you don't remember turning it on. Are you the prime minister and are you fucking a pig on national
Then
television?
it's not Black Mirror.
Don't think so.
Unless you're fucking a pig, we don't want to hear about how.
I don't want
it's
to hear
Black
about
Mirror.
Black Mirror. Well, this reminds me of like when I was in high school. It was kind of a Black Mirror situation where
Where you were fucking a pig.
yeah, where this guy was fucking a pig on national television.
Yeah. Yeah.
So classic.
And you're like, wow, life is Black Mirror.
It's a Black Mirror.
I like Black Mirror.
Oh, I swear I had something. I had it and I lost it. Oh, I had it and then I lost it.
Now that I'm thinking about the pig episode, I'm like, wait, what does that even have to do with technology?
I think it was like they were blackmailing.
No,
him.
they had kidnapped somebody. They'd kidnapped like a princess or some shit, and he had to do it to like so they would let her go. But like that's not really like technology.
Maybe it's just like fucked up. Maybe they came on. Maybe like that was so much. Like, all right, let's stick to technology from here on
Okay,
out.
also imagine your role in like a group of blackmailers is to think of like what you're gonna make the person do. And they're like, that's Sean. He's fucked up. He always has the best idea.
Yeah.
He's the one who came up with the pig fucking bit.
But then the
Like,
gag was
I
that
feel like
they
Robert would be great at that job. Just thinking of fucked up
so
things.
what if we get like the Secretary of State and have her eat a big bowl of poop on the telly?
That's me and Black Mirror.
Dude, dream job.
dream job coming out with the blackmail stuff.
Dream job in dystopian hell.
Yeah.
Is making up the fucked up shit we're gonna make people
But the
do.
gag was that they let the girl go like before he even went on. Like
Damn.
like it was just for shits and gigs.
And then she goes to him. She's like, "Wow, I'm so glad they freed me. What'd you have to do to get them to free me?" And he's like, we just like paid him a bunch of money or anything. Don't Google it, but it's,
Don't look it up. Don't worry. Don't worry about what I did. Okay. Also, I feel like sometimes the Young Old podcast, we are like a TV recap podcast that's really bad at remembering. That's so real. That's
Yeah.
so real. Like, we're like the world's worst TV recap.
well, I didn't even see that episode. I just heard about it through the zeitgeist.
so real.
I'm not even recapping something I saw.
No, you're recapping. We're rehashing recaps.
Something you've like only kind of heard
We're
about.
recapping.
I remember what I was
recaps.
gonna say. This was something that happened. It reminded me when you were talking about the horror movies earlier. I was so scared of horror movies when I was a kid, so scared to the point that one time I was at a sleepover with a bunch of my friends and they wanted to watch a horror movie and I was like, no, I won't watch it. So I took my book and I sat on the floor of the bathroom with the door closed for an hour and a half while they all watched the horror movie.
I've done the same thing.
Yeah, really?
This is why
I've literally done the same thing.
This is why.
Like I've read a book in a bathroom as an act of protest because I didn't like the movie.
And it was too scary because I knew it would fuck me up mentally. And then after the movie was over,
the way that I've literally done that.
yeah, and after the movie was over, I came out and tried to like act like I was still one of the guys. The dynamic had shifted forever.
this is the kind of cool shit he was up to.
You
Yeah,
like
that's what I was up
you
to.
can't read a book in the bathroom in protest and expect things to be cool.
totally
after that.
fine.
They won't be. They'll never be the same.
Yeah.
It's kind of like fucking a pig on national TV.
Yeah, that was
Right, they're
my
really
version.
similar. Your guys' vows are gonna be like, I always promise to read a book on the bathroom floor when others are watching a horror movie.
Yeah.
People who like to talk about having autism on the internet, one of the main things they bring up is like, are you someone who likes to be in the bathroom for a long time alone at parties? And I'm like, yep.
Is that autism? Is
I
that?
don't know, but that's something that autistic people bring up a lot. And they go,
I
you
didn't know
probably
that
have
was
autism if you're like one of those kids who loves the fucking bathroom at parties.
Oh, I will say this was a somewhat
or you're
shock.
a COCAINE addict.
I'm really glad
Neither
you
here nor there.
interrupted me to clarify
Sorry.
that. No, I loved it.
Well, at least you're not wearing your shot collar.
But are those people usually alone? I feel like they go in groups, no?
I don't know anything about herds of autistic people at parties going to the bathroom together.
Okay, whatever.
No, there
Oh.
definitely are like people who go in groups to the bathroom at parties.
Oh.
But then there are also people who like they need to go and get a break from
Speaking
everyone.
of my
No, I was talking about the COC.
Oh yeah, the
AINEs.
COC, AINE,
Yeah.
people usually go congregate in groups.
Yeah.
Speaking
It's a
of
social
speaking of
activity.
this season, it's Youngblood's festival. My favorite singer on the internet.
Yeah,
who I've
it's
never
Robert's
heard a song.
favorite singer.
Blood.
He had his
Young-
festival, Bloodfest, I think, and he
Bloodfest.
had a whole tent for people who showed up alone or were socially anxious, where
I
they could just
saw
come and do
that.
activities.
I saw
Now,
that.
again, this is genuinely a nice thing, but it is fully in support of what I find so funny about Youngblood, which is he has all of like the aesthetic of like a rebellious punk rocker, but everything he says is just incredibly progressive and supportive because he's literally walking around like, yeah, if you want to come to my fucking festival, we don't play by the rules. You can come in here and do arts and crafts. If you don't have a friend yet, maybe make a friend or two. And it's like that's just
punk.
it's a very
so
nice
him.
thing you're saying, but you're saying it as if it's like, you know,
I
incredibly
saw that,
abrasive.
That part of his festival where you meet friends if you don't
Yeah.
have a designated area for the lonelies.
Mm-hmm.
And it just reminded me of like that we used to have like tables at like middle school that like you could sit at if you didn't have anyone to eat lunch with. So then all like the losers could go. And like we would like my friends and I would like be cackling, be like, okay, let's go sit at the table. Like, you know.
It's it's so crazy because when you talk about the things you did in middle school, I was like, you were the person that was making my life hell.
Okay.
Like, you were
And I
why
still
I was
am,
afraid to
bitch.
go. Isn't it
I
crazy
miss
how-
when Eve
how-
was nice to Dana.
Yeah, what? To the person that I miss when he
Okay,
was nice to Dana.
you
When,
can't-
bitch, when?
You can outrun your middle school bullies, but you can't outrun a middle school bully. That's the real truth, guys.
I do
There will
love-
always be one around
There will
you.
always be a middle school bully in your midst.
We always be like, you go sit at the table. No, you go sit at the table. And then be like a dare, like you have to go sit at the table for 60 seconds.
Meanwhile,
like,
who's at the table? Dana and I.
Robert, not the fucking
but
table.
nobody ever really sat down there is the thing.
Well, yeah, because it's humiliating.
Yeah,
It's a
exactly. So,
stigma.
but it's the
You're
same
essentially just taking tables that could be used for loners without the weird stigma, and you're taking them away from them, which
Right.
is really
And now
mean.
it's like, now
no
I
one
would
wants to sit
always
at that
think that
table.
where it's like I'm like I just want like a normal place to sit where it's not like Loserville.
Loserville.
The sign may as well say Loserville.
Population whoever's at the table.
Well, it's also
Right.
like the losers need their space. You know what I mean? They're
Yeah.
studying blueprints of the school. You know what I mean?
to
So
S it
real.
up.
So
yeah,
real.
to pop it up,
To
or
pop it
whatever
up,
they're
or whatever
gonna
they're
do.
gonna do.
Whatever they're gonna do.
Maybe something really nice.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Dude, I remember like what we would sit at in middle school. Like I would sit at a table with these guys where like the whole thing was like you would have to like we would like try to make each other laugh. Like it was like a little competition. And there was this one motherfucker where he would literally just quote Anchorman and he would crush. He would crush at this table. And I'd be so pissed because I'm like, he's being funnier than me, but only he's not being funnier than me. Will Ferrell is being funnier than me, but all the
You
other
can't
guys
compete with Will
all the
Ferrell.
other guys didn't know that it was this guy was just quoting Anchorman and he was demolishing.
Did you not just show them Anchorman? Like when
Well, this
the
was
next
pre.
step
We
be-
didn't have like laptops and stuff, so I'd
So
be
you
like,
didn't even see it.
Well, a lot of times it would be like I was
Did
like,
you know? Did you know it was Anchorman?
I knew that it sounded familiar, but
Okay.
also I was too busy frantically trying to think of my own funny thing to
Right.
say, and of course I can't compete. And then like I would go home and I would be like, I would pull up Anchorman. I'd be like, motherfucker, it is Anchorman.
Okay, can I say something actually interesting? I think part
Can
of
I
the
say
reason.
something actually
Oh,
interesting?
no, sorry, not that. You're the
Not like that boring shit you just said.
you just said, bitch.
No, okay. I think that's actually really funny that you say that because, okay, I think Robert and I both famously weren't allowed to watch TV or movies like a lot growing
Correct.
up. And we both have become comedians. And I think so much of that did come from the frustration of when you're younger and you want to be funny, but so many people have like more frames of reference to be funny than you, and you know in your heart you're like you're copying something but I don't have anything to copy, and that's where us becoming actually funny comes from. I think is the fact that we weren't allowed to have funny things to copy.
And then now maybe like there's like little loser girls in middle school who are copying Dana.
Yeah,
and they're
so
they're sitting
real.
down and they're going like, you should have more friends. No.
And I love that. And
I
if
love
there's
that.
any middle schoolers copying me right now, I say continue.
Continue.
Go forth and copy.
And if any middle schoolers are copying me right now,
Yeah.
I'd say my lawyers will be in touch. That's original content, and you're stealing it. That's my IP, and you're stealing my IP right now.
And you will be prosecuted to
And
the
you
full
will be
extent of the law.
prosecuted.
Well, here's the thing. Every time I say or do something new, all I'm doing is creating IP. I'm
so
IP
real.
farming,
That's so
all right?
real.
We're not
IP
in
farming.
conversation. You're clocking in at the IP farm.
But again, everything is IP.
Everything.
Everything's
Everything's
IP.
IP.
Everything's IP.
Except for poop, which is
Except
IP.
for
You could just say nothing. You don't actually. You could
I'm
have.
sorry.
Well, can I just say something actually interesting? Everything's IP except for I poop.
Yeah. Did we have any other? I swear I had another topic I wanted to talk about.
Well, I assume we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
We've actually only been recording for 3.5 minutes, so it just feels like it's going forever because we hate each other so much. So
Today, Eve and I were talking about how our whole lives we wanted a puppy, but we weren't allowed to have a puppy. Have we talked about this on Young Old?
Probably, but it's basically we think it's abuse to not give your kids a puppy
Because we had these two life size, like they were huge, stuffed Labrador stuffed animals
named chocolate and vanilla because one was dark brown and one was like a cream
blonde.
color.
And we would really personify or puppyify, I guess.
Yeah, pretend
these
they were
dogs.
real
We
dogs.
pretended they were real. And
Which is so sad
We
and
were just saying, like,
pathetic.
if we saw our kid acting how we acted with these fake stuffed animals, we would be like, oh, they have to have a dog. Like, this is sick.
It's sad.
I'm abusing my child.
It's sad.
It would
And
be
also,
very
like,
clear to me.
Well, now that we have one, we're like, oh my god, like it's crazy what we were missing.
Yeah,
out
it is
on.
crazy. We
it's
were
a
missing, and
different
we were right.
experience because I always wanted a dog until I got a dog, and the dog
Right.
had diarrhea in the middle of the living room, and I was like, this is nothing like I wanted.
And then I was saying that you would say that having your dog was abuse. You having the dog was abuse, and
Well-
we're saying us not having one. Was
Well, it's
abuse.
very much like my dream versus reality, expectations versus reality. I expected like, oh, a dog that's my best friend will curl up on my bed, and instead it's just like a puddle of diarrhea, and I don't want it anywhere near my bed. I don't want it.
It never reached
And even
your
now,
bed.
you do not want Biter sleeping with y'all.
Well, the thing about Biter that's really annoying is that he stopped moving. Because all right, Eve was gone for a couple days, so Biter had to sleep in our bed because God forbid the dog sleep somewhere that's not a king size Tempur-Pedic mattress.
Well,
He needs to snuggle.
But Biter used to like if he was in the bed with you and you like rolled over and your leg like was about to be on him, he would move. Or like when you would like go to the bathroom and come back and he was in your spot, like and you started to lay
used
down,
to have, like,
he would move.
reflexes.
Now he doesn't move. He's like, you move. Because he's understood that like the balance of power is such that like he doesn't have to do shit.
Right.
What are we gonna do?
Yeah.
You know what I
Literally,
mean?
What are you
he's-
gonna
Well, he's
do?
realized that we are not disciplinarians.
No.
He does not get the rod. You know?
Well, that's also how I know you're never giving a kid the rod.
Yeah.
Well,
What
no,
about
but
Biter?
Biter was my practice to learn about what happens when you don't rod.
yeah.
And I say,
You
I'll,
could rod now.
No, it's too late. It's too late for
too
him.
late. It's
But
too late.
with a fresh baby, I
just
smack, crack.
the idea of rotting the baby.
We're not gonna
is
smack
crazy.
crack a baby, to be so clear. I have to verbally just say that every time. It's like she's doing a bit.
Did you find any topics in your notes?
I found one thing, which is
Okay.
Dana and I were watching a reality show, pretty terrible one.
Oh, I also want. Oh, sorry. go
Oh,
ahead.
yeah.
No, sorry.
No.
No.
Yeah, you probably have something actually interesting to add.
No, yeah. Can you say
For
something
sure.
actually interesting?
Yeah.
I know. Go ahead. Continue.
no,
just
yeah,
continue.
please.
I'll remember mine after. Go ahead.
Well,
Please.
back to what I was saying.
Back to what you were saying.
Something not interesting.
Wow. Here's what I'll say about you. Your middle school might have been right. They might have read you. They might have read you correctly.
Gotti.
They have. That is the thing. Like sometimes like people will get on the internet and complain about like like their height being unpopular in high school, and I'll listen to them for 3 seconds and be like, your high school might have been right about you.
Well, we always say that Dana is Liz Lemon in the 130 Rock episode where Liz like always talks about her being bullied and how nobody liked her, and then it shows the flashbacks and it's actually her being mean as fuck.
her like saying brutal one-liners, because there is a thing like when you think of yourself as like unpopular or a loser or a nerd, you think yourself incapable of like hurting anyone's feelings who's more popular than you, and as you age you realize like that's just not true.
Well, you think everything is punching up.
Yes.
Because you have such victim mentality, which is me. And I've talked about this. I cyberbullied this really popular girl, and I thought that it was punching up. And
in fact you were a bully.
I was actually being a real cunt.
okay.
Shout out to her.
Shout out to her. Hope you're doing
And
well.
Girl, if you're also, she was the only internet famous person at my school, which on hindsight I realized was actually a big inspiration to me. And I owe her a lot. And I feel really bad now.
Yeah, you
But
owe
I
her
hope
a
she's
lot.
well.
You also owe an
No,
apology,
I'm sure
for
she's-
example.
I've said sorry in many videos, and I said sorry after her boyfriend made me apologize to her. But
That's hilarious.
and he was right to do that, and I should have been held accountable. And he was right in that I was pathetic and jealous, and I was pathetic and jealous. And I hope she's doing well, but I know she is because she's really rich. And really pretty. So I'm sure she's fine.
The story had so many twists and turns. And also it suggested so many things.
What were you saying about reality TV?
Huh?
What were you saying about reality TV?
Sorry, I just got transported for a second there.
Yeah.
A blast from the past.
Well, a lot of people, by the way, think that being a loser and being a bully are mutually exclusive. It's like, no, you can be a loser, unpopular person at your school and still like be hurting everybody's feelings. Yeah. Maybe that has something to do with why you're a loser and unpopular. Okay. Well, but also like this is also again, as we always say, like a lot of times, like everyone perceives themselves to be an unpopular loser. I bet even the popular kids at school in their head are like, I'm the least popular of the popular kids or whatever.
Yes.
Well, famously, I thought of myself as an unpopular loser. I was literally voted to give a speech at graduation.
Exactly.
I was like, well, what am I? Anywho, I was going to say that Dana and I were watching a reality show where someone's job, that they say their occupation, because of course they can't just say their job as being on a reality show. They said their job is crypto trader. And we both were like, what does it mean for your job to be crypto trader? And then I realized like, oh, when someone says their job is crypto trader, that just means that they are a criminal who just hasn't been caught yet.
They're pre-prison.
They're pre-prison.
in their pre-prison era.
They're a white collar criminal pre-prison.
Yeah, they're in their preparation for incarceration phase of their life.
When someone says I'm a crypto trader, what they mean is I have a lot of money right now that will be seized by the FBI any day now.
I will be in jail soon.
My
is what
bank
they're
account
telling
is
you.
really a savings account for like the SEC.
Which is also convenient because in the crypto trader in the show you're watching, he seems like he's a guy who doesn't want to settle down. He's kind of an F-boy. And it's like, that makes sense that he wouldn't want to settle down because, no, he can't commit to you. He can't commit that he won't be in jail next year. He can't commit to a relationship.
He's literally doing you a favor.
If he's a crypto trader, he will be. Also, he's just probably saving you from like feeling obligated to visit him in prison inevitably.
Well, okay.
And
also,
how kind.
that specific guy, also, he's clearly just like his dad's really rich and his dad gives him money. And I'm like, I wish I could just communicate to him that like it's actually less embarrassing to say, oh yeah, my dad gives me money than it is to say you're a crypto trader.
Yeah.
Like he thinks he's making people think he's self-made. It's like, no, it makes you seem like a criminal.
Right. Just say daddy's favorite little boy.
Yeah.
The crypto guys think it's like super cool. Like they don't get that everybody else thinks it's weird.
The only people who think crypto is cool are people who are neck deep in crypto. Anyone outside of the crypto world thinks you're
and
crazy.
they have to think it's cool because it's a self-perpetuating industry. Like if enough people decide that crypto's worthless, then it becomes worthless.
They have to hype each other up.
Right.
Because if anyone gets cold feet, then...
I mean, crypto is a cult.
Yeah.
I mean, lots of things are cults, but crypto is a cult.
Yeah.
Period.
Oh, I was going to say about Love Island. So we famously stopped watching Love Island because
did.
we were bored. You guys suck. You made Love Island suck. It's a combination of the viewers and the producers and the cast members. But we were thinking about Ace and Sierra. People have been saying Ace and Sierra. First of all, we are against the Sierra cancellation. I say free Sierra.
Okay.
That's all. I think that we need to live in a culture of forgiveness. Anyone who posts a lot online is bound to F up and say something that ages poorly. So that's what I'll say.
Well, I would say like Sierra on Love Island like used a really offensive word in an Instagram post I think a couple years ago or maybe a year ago. Whatever. It was recent. I think it actually was like 2024. Yeah. And I'm not saying she should use the word, but also I'm looking at the way a lot of people are dunking on her and I'm like, this isn't about like any sort of justice. You just wanted to like bully this lady.
Yeah.
Because
Right,
people
it's
be like,
never actually about the thing.
It's
Yeah.
never about the thing. It's about the fact that you always were like jealous and bitter.
Also, because it's like you went looking for dirt because you wanted to find something.
yeah, you wanted to get off all your takes about how she's an ugly bitch who needs to kill herself. And then you went looking for
and then
dirt
you
and you
needed
found it.
justification for saying all that.
Yeah.
So my whole thing is let's forgive Sierra. I think that we all say things on the internet and let's move
Or even
on.
if you don't want to forgive her, I'm just saying like you can be like, it's unacceptable she used that word without like drawing a caricature of her looking ugly and like hoping she like dies in a ditch.
Right, yeah.
People love to be like, I'm gonna
The
get this.
punishment is always hoping you die in a ditch.
The internet loves to
No
be like,
matter the crime.
the internet loves to be like, I'm gonna make this stranger kill themselves, but in a justice way,
In the
name of justice.
In the name of
In the name
and
of
I'm like,
justice.
I just don't know about that. Also, okay, in the macro, there's the guy we were talking about. there's a guy named Charlie on like I think Next Gen NYC.
Yes,
is that the name of the show?
That's what we're talking about, the crypto trader. Yeah.
There's a guy named Charlie on Next Gen NYC, and then there's the girl Sierra on Love Island. And Sierra is getting in trouble right now because she used a bad, terrible word on her Instagram story a couple years ago. And the guy Charlie is getting in trouble right now because he's throwing a fit at lunch and calling this girl a jealous bitch.
Yeah.
And everyone's like getting mad at them. And at a certain point, I'm kind of like, I'm not even saying their behavior is good, but I'm kind of like, who do you think is supposed to be on reality TV?
Well, Robert said this. He literally was like, do you think that reality TV is a prize for being the kindest person?
Yeah.
Do you think getting to be on reality TV...
Everyone on reality TV
like-
is super unproblematic.
Like
It's
the
like-
whole thing, and we were watching this TikTok where this guy basically says that Bravo rewards like shitty men, basically, was what he was saying. And it's like, dude, you get that like part of watching reality TV, someone has to be a villain. Like they can't just like cast perfect people on reality TV. You wouldn't be interested. Reality TV is not a place for, America's finest, most intellectual.
Well, reality TV
to
is
go in.
reality TV is for like the
the
fame.
opposite, really.
Yeah,
It's the opposite.
Yeah, it's for like the fame-hungry, loser, crazy people. For us normal people to look at them and go,
No,
they're
those are
crazy.
they're crazy, fame hungry losers.
But then there's people who, like, they go on these fame-hungry, crazy loser people go on reality TV, and then we all go, "Whoa, this is not what I signed up for."
They seem really fame hungry and crazy.
Yeah.
That's what this is. That's why it's fun to watch.
Yeah.
That's what we want. But I was saying, Ace and Sierra, and this has been part of the discourse, are definitely playing Love Island like it's fucking Survivor, and they're strategically voting off people who like seem like they're gonna win if they're not voted
But
off.
this is why we stopped watching, because it's an
Yeah.
entirely different show than we want to watch.
But I was saying that I wouldn't be surprised if both Ace and Sierra, anyone who's on reality TV, this is not the first reality show they've applied for. It's hard to get on reality TV. A lot of people want to be on it. I would guess that Ace and Sierra probably have applied to be on Love Island or on Survivor. I wouldn't be
think
surprised. I wouldn't be
Sierra
shocked.
is a Love Island fan, but I think
Yes.
she's almost such a Love Island fan that she specifically wants to win it,
Yes, exactly.
as does Ace.
But I'll say this. In the event that Ace and Sierra had applied to be on Survivor, 2025 Survivor probably wouldn't have accepted them because they're too hot. And Survivor famously stopped casting hotties in 2015.
yeah. So all the hotties.
This is
who-
really Survivor's fault. All I'm saying is Jeff Probst is actually to blame for why Love Island sucks now.
Whoa.
That's all. That's what I'd like to.
Yeah.
I would like to just leave it there.
Survivor stopped casting hot people, so the hot people who really want to be on Survivor have to go on Love Island, which means that Love Island is just Survivor
Turns
now.
into Survivor.
It turns into Hot Survivor.
Yeah.
So basically, let the hotties on Survivor.
Let the
Yeah.
hotties on Survivor so that Love Island can be Love Island again. And that's
Yeah.
all I wanted to
My
say.
favorite thing about Ace is he acts like it's scandalous when people on Love Island act like they're on Love Island. Like someone on Love Island will be like, "Well, I'm really enjoying my connection with this person," and then it just cuts to Ace. He's like, "Yo, I feel like he's like trying to make a connection with this person." This person who literally, so like, you see that? They're two hot people. They're two hot people on Love Island, and I feel like they're trying to make a connection with each other. What the fuck? I think they're scamming. I really think they're scamming. It's like, you're describing what the premise of the show is.
I feel like Love Island was never like prize centric, or like it didn't use like that was never, because usually in most they're always like, and the prize is $1 million, but like Love Island they never talk about
No.
the prize.
You're-
It's
which
usually all
is
about
Men
finding
winning
love.
it seems weird.
It's-
Like, or trying to win it, having your goal be to win Love Island seems weird. Your goal should just be to have the most fun so that you get the most
Well,
followers.
most people it's like the goal is like, oh, to find a couple, but
Right.
like
Yeah. Now, in theory, it's supposed to be like, even in the rules of the show, it's supposed to be like, the real prize is love. And you
Right.
found this connection.
and then the money is secondary.
And the money's secondary. Now, even if the couple obviously is going to break up in a month, whatever.
Right.
Now,
But it's like who can form the best connection.
now, on the flip side, I will say there is a degree of drama and scandal that is always part of Love Island. So I think there is an element of pretending that this season is unique in that way, I think is untrue. Well, it is my favorite thing when people talk about Love Island, specifically last season, and they love to pretend that the reason they watched and the reason it was popular was because of the power of female friendship and PPG.
Which is
It's
BS.
That is BS. Also, specifically, Rob is as responsible for the last season of Love Island being successful as anyone else on the show, specifically because why you liked Leah, at least initially, was you felt like she had been done wrong by Rob. And you know what I mean? It's like, Rob was the Darth Vader.
Yes.
So even if you think PPG is like your Luke Skywalker, even if you think like PPG is like the heroes of the show, it's like, yeah, the reason the season worked was because you had villains. Like, you
Well,
had a-
heroes can't exist without villains, which
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
the internet really doesn't seem to get, because apparently none of them have taken a 9th grade English class class where you learn about the hero's journey and you understand that main characters literally need
but
other
also even in
people
last
to force
season,
opposition.
Rob was like an anti-hero,
Yes.
like slash villain early with Leah, and then kind of became an anti-hero who people liked. Aaron became a straight up villain, but also it's important to note they were all playing the game of Love Island
Yes.
within the context of the show.
Yes.
Like even the viral moments of like Rob crying in the pool or like Andrea getting sent home. These are within the context of the show. Like the new version, like I feel like I'm watching a completely different show.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ace alone has single-handedly messed up the dynamic. It does seem like he's like pulled a lot of strings to make the atmosphere really weirdly competitive and inhospitable to connection.
Yeah, I think Ace is responsible for a lot of it, but I think there's like a lot of things. Like also people early weren't like partnering off. I also think the show this season has had more Islander votes. Look, I'll admit it. We might have been getting a little too animated about a season of reality television that aired a year ago.
And ultimately, the camera shut off in protest.
And the camera's fair.
And it gave us a moment to reflect.
It gave us a moment to be like,
That's
maybe
not who we
we
are.
need to calm down.
We want to talk about important things like being unpopular in middle school or in Eve's case, running her middle school like the fucking Navy.
Yeah, I wasn't there enough to run it like the Navy.
But that, again, that's the ultimate, that's the coolest thing you could do is not be there.
Yeah. I do think that's true. The coolest thing you can do in high school and middle school is to be truant.
This should be true. And I was there every day. I had a great attendance record, and that's why no one respected me.
Wait, that actually reminds me of being truant. So the Olsen Twins movie, New York Minute, their last movie together.
Famously, Dana saw some twins, and she goes, "I just watched New York Minute."
I literally met twins and I said, I just watched New York
like,
Minute.
they
to them.
responded
and
well.
they were like, we love New York Minute.
But I'm just
Credit
like,
to them.
She's so lucky that they responded well to
And
that.
it is
Because if
like-
I was a twin and somebody said that to me, I'd be like,
The fuck? Meeting a pair of twins and
Yeah.
immediately telling them about how you watched a Mary Kate and Ashley movie recently. That's like meeting a black person and being like, I love Black Panther.
Yeah, it's exactly
I love
like that.
Black Panther.
Or it's like meeting an Asian person
And
saying,
being like,
I love Crazy Rich
Mulan.
Asians. I
Oh,
love
okay,
Mulan.
yeah. I
Mulan
just
is
watched
epic.
Mulan.
I just
Yeah.
watched Mulan. Yeah.
And people watch me and they go, I just watched the Japanese cartoon about the ugly troll fat man.
Right.
And I'm like, I get it.
I get it. I'm familiar to you. I'm a familiar face. Okay. Are we ready to say goodnight to the young golden
They're like, I just watched Okja. A movie about a huge elephant, by the way. if
I
you
think
didn't
it's,
know.
It's a
not an
fake creature.
elephant. Yeah.
It's
Well,
a
but
fake
it's like
made up
an
creature.
elephant.
But it's kind of like a hippo. It's
Well,
a
Oh,
really?
fake.
hippo. It's like a hippo.
Well, it's like a fake made up thing.
You know what's crazy is how they
whatever.
describe the meat
like a
as being
hippo.
really yummy.
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like a hippo.
Yeah.
It's like a hippo.
And yeah, I did the mocap for Oakjaw, which when I blow up, people are going to really be like, wait, Robert Schultz was Oakjaw?
Period.
Good night, young old. It was a good episode.
Unlike
Must
Love
Love Island. But we're not concerned with that because we're talking about important things.
Like friends.
Like friends.
France and Timu.
Good night.
Au revoir.